Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us. This is the first of our kind of regular live coaching clinics for the Coaching Exchange. As probably quite a few of you know, we've been doing this on an ad hoc basis for a while, but we're kind of stepping it up and doing it on an at least monthly basis. And I'm totally delighted to have Steve Chandler with us for this one. I'm sure everybody here knows Steve, so I won't spend too long telling you about him. Obviously, he's brilliant coach, author of lots of fantastic books, co-author of The Prosperous Coach, creator of the Advanced Clients Systems program, which has got loads of famous graduates, and just a very wise and funny and entertaining human being. And the main thing I'm delighted about, I guess, is I get to see Steve in action on this. The way it works is one person at a time is up for coaching, and Steve, you'll spend some time, 5, 10, 15, whatever minutes make sense, exploring with them to the point where it makes sense to pause, and then you can just let me know and we'll move on to the next person, pretty much till we run out of time. If you want to, towards the end, you can cycle back to catch up with each person and see where they're at, but that's totally up to you. The thing I love about this format is you kind of can have as much in the way of insights and impact when you're observing as you can being coached. And obviously it's just a chance to see a brilliant coach in action as well. So Steve, is there anything that you'd like to ask or add before we get started?
No, thank you very much for having me. I'm very flattered by the use of the word brilliant. I get a little knot in my stomach every time I hear it. So I will prepare to be brilliant.
First up is Maria. Let me see if I can find you and unmute you. Hello. Hi, Maria.
Hi.
I'll shut up. Over to you and Steve.
Okay. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I'm wondering how much I need to get a hold on my brand before I sort of branch out and start coaching, like what it is that I uniquely provide. Because I feel that I have maybe a grounding issue or some sort of uncertainty, because I don't really feel a good response from the people I speak to. Not in when I give talks either. I don't really feel that I have a good connection, and I'm wondering if it's to do with what I stand for, maybe.
Well, do you have any clients now?
No, no.
And do you give talks now? Do people hear you talk?
I've given some talks, yes.
Okay. You know, sometimes when you do give your talk, do you talk about coaching? Do you talk about what your work is in the world, or do you talk about something else?
I think I have focused on the 3 principles, and perhaps not so much on what it is that people can get from, like personally can get from what it is that I offer.
Okay. Now, have you been coached yourself? Have you been mentored or coached individually?
Yes. Yeah.
One of the things that I found really helped me was relating stories about me having been coached or mentored by someone, and how it helped me, and why I'm doing the work I'm doing, because of how much it helped me. And if people listening to me talking can get a feeling for how much a person can be helped by this kind of work, oftentimes that makes them want to talk to you further. I'm not a big fan of branding or marketing or anything like that. I think that coaching makes such a human connection, your humanity with someone else's, that the marketing and the sales terms that a lot of coaching groups use. I don't think they work very well for one-on-one intimate coaching and mentoring. I think it gets in the way. One of the best things that can happen when you speak is for someone to imagine themselves being helped. So if I talk about a session I might have had with someone who's helping me, whether it's my coach or one of my coaches or a mentor, they can start to picture being helped. And if they can picture being helped when I talk to a group, quite often they'll want to talk to me afterwards and know more about how that happens.
It makes a lot of sense, and it's quite practical. Like it's something that I can get on with. So I will try that.
You know, I think your own story is the most powerful thing you can talk about when you give a talk. And then secondary to that, when you do have clients, tell some stories about clients you've helped and what they saw and the insights they had. Are you 3 principles teacher? Is that what you want to do? And
yes.
And allow people to picture those things in their own mind.
Yeah.
And then talk to you, instead of just teaching the principles straight out in a theoretical tutorial way. You know, that has only so much value. And when I hear people like Dickon Bettinger, Mara Gleason, or George Pransky speak, they're the most powerful talks they give, and for me personally, are when they talk about themselves and what they saw and who helped them see it. And that's always very moving to me.
Yeah, that's good. I think yeah, I've got good stuff from this. Thank you, Steve.
What's your do you have a game plan for your career in this work? Do you have a vision for it or an idea of where you'd like it to go?
No, I'm kind of open. I think I would just like to have some successful conversations with people and see where it goes from there. I think I would like it to be, I don't know, like a process where so I can turn corners and things when it feels like that's the right place to go. I would quite like to get some. I did art at college, and I would quite like to get some sort of creativity in. Although there is already quite a lot of creativity in coaching, but maybe something more practical as well.
My experience in coaching is that when I myself allowed myself to be coached over time, I became a better coach and gained a great deal more confidence in this thing called coaching and mentoring and helping other people. And it just came naturally after a while that my conversations would lead to people wanting to have more time with me. And it's a very natural kind of unfolding process. And a lot of times coaches try to find a strategy and they overthink it. And in violation of the very principles they want to teach people, they overthink it and they try to come up with techniques and strategies for building a practice when really you're just one conversation away from your next client. You're just one person who's confused and would love to have some help to understand life. That's what's next. That's the only strategy I think a coach needs, is to ask the question, who's next? Who can I help?
Yes, that sounds good. And I also like like that's a wonderful place to be at. But I also like what you said about allowing yourself to be coached. There's something quite interesting in that, actually. I think I've experienced that, and I think that's the way to show the way to clients that you can allow yourself to do that yourself.
Yes, yes. And a lot of coaches think that's a weakness, that if they confess that they themselves have a coach, that they think that looks like they're still not complete, or they still don't have their act together. But really, it shows the prospective client, it shows them the value of coaching and how much you value it. And a coach without a coach is like a doctor who would tell a patient, I myself would never see a doctor, but I'm glad you're here to see me because I need your money. It really wouldn't make any sense. So it's actually a sign of strength to have your own coach and be able to talk about that process. And I'm not talking about spending money you don't have. I'm talking, even if you get a peer coach and you're in some group or program and someone agrees to do peer coaching with you where you trade sessions and coach each other, any kind of ongoing coaching will grow you, because the profession of coaching is a very apprentice-based profession. It's not like a lawyer going to law school or a doctor going to medical school. We learn this from people like us who take time with us, and that's how we grow as coaches.
That's good. It makes sense, and it's come full circle to your initial suggestion to that I talk about my own experience of coaching.
Yes.
So I've got stuff to work with here. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else like to brave enough to talk? Do you have a question?
No, I just couldn't hear Emma. I think she was talking.
Oh, I can't hear Emma either.
Thank you both for letting me know that I'd left myself on mute there. What I was saying was I have a list of people ready to be coached. Next up is Mary, and I'm just looking for you, Mary, so I can unmute you. Hi, Mary.
Hello. I think I came up on Three Principles Global Community.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess I have two different versions of Zoom going on here. So, hi.
Hi.
Steve, I was introduced to you through Ankush Jain, who I did an interview for, and he's been on Being in Service. I'm a Three Principles practitioner. I've been in the Three Principles world for over 20 years and mental health counselor for 15. And in the process of that, I'm sure I've done what you would call coaching. You know, I don't always differentiate. If somebody comes into my office, I just meet with them. But I do feel like there may be a bit of a difference in true coaching and some of the mental health counseling in terms of focus and in generating a practice. So I've done lots of different things over the years, and I've reached a point where I've kind of pared it down to just my mental health practice. I'm not contracted with a lot of agencies that I used to be contracted with, and I'm finding some gaps in my work and in terms of time spent working. And it appeals to me to broaden my reach with people in passing along this really powerful information, the way I see it, life-changing, in more of a coaching practice. So I've just been doing some research, and Ankush was kind enough to send me your ebook on creating clients. I guess it's, for my question, is more on a practical level of, I love your idea about having those conversations and creating clients. but I feel a little bit stuck in you talk about browsing your email list and putting on Hawaiian music and that kind of thing. And I don't know exactly, it feels like, unless I have someone referred to me, which I do occasionally, I feel a little bit stuck in terms of how to really go about creating a separate practice and creating those clients. I guess that's where I'm at.
Well, clients are created one person at a time, and they're best created through referral. If you have one client, let's say you begin with one client, and that client talks about someone in her life or his life, and you say, if it would benefit them, I'd be willing to give them a little bit of my time as a gift from you, as an act of generosity. And then that person says, oh, that would be wonderful. I can't wait to tell my brother-in-law that you'll do that. And now I'm talking to the brother-in-law for a while. And I like to build a clientele by working through people I already know and am already benefiting. I don't know, do you know Jean Catherine Gray? She's got a wonderful audio on, she's 3 Principles coach. She has a wonderful audio on the relationship between how good a coach she is and how fast she's building her practice. There's a very strong relationship with that, because once you get into conversations that really help people, people will refer other people to you, people will expand their own contract with you, and it will grow that way. So one place to look is with people that you are already working with, and what can I do through those people to have a greater impact on their lives, and have them refer people that they know to me, and make it easy for them to do that. If you say to someone, let's say they bring up somebody, they mention somebody, and if you say, if you'd ever like to, I'd be glad to give that person an hour of my time to see if I could help them with that. And that would be a gift from you. It's not on my website. I don't say anybody can have a free session, but that would be yours to give as a client of mine. And when I grew my practice years ago, it all came from people I was already working with, who would give someone in their world an hour with me as a gift from them. So that's another, you could call that a technique, but it's really an openness in you to helping people in the lives of people you're already helping. That's another way that really worked for me.
Yeah, I love that. And I have read you say that before. And I think that, now that I think back on it, being in the mental health field, it's kind of unstated that someone will refer people to you, but it's not really something that we can ethically ask, And so coaching is a little different. There's a little more freedom there, where you can actually ask for referrals or offer your services to people that they know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I in the coaching school that I do, which is it's only about client acquisition. It's not about how to coach. So we get people from all different fields. We get 3P people, we get Landmark people, Byron Katie people, Tony, people from all different backgrounds in coaching. We get people from the mental health field. We get psychologists in the school as well. One of the things we talk about is not asking for referrals, but offering time when appropriate.
Gotcha.
And the difference being that if I'm asking for referrals, the message in that is, I need money, I'm hurting, I don't have enough clients, will you help me make more money?
Yeah.
And you cannot get that message out of asking for a referral. That lives inside that. But if if on the other hand you're offering, you're not taking but you're giving, and you're offering time if it would be of service with no strings attached, and I would say this is not a bait and switch. It's not. I would be willing to give that person an hour of my time. Now, if they want to continue or work with me, they would have to initiate that conversation. They'd have to bring that up, and I would answer their questions. But I'm not going to try to sell coaching to them, or at the end of the hour do a closing conversation or something like that. I will not do that. It'll be no strings attached, an hour of my time. And that takes the pressure off me and off the person I'm going to help.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That would be a good feeling place to be in.
Yeah.
Because I've like you said, the asking for referrals has never felt right. It doesn't sit right with me. So
no, it's creepy. It really is. It gets in the way of what the relationship really is about.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, because the work is the point. I mean, I'm doing this for the work itself, and I've been doing successfully, self-employed for many years. Just kind of wanting to change the focus and expand a little bit. So I love how you talk about it in terms of it's more of an organic, natural process that just unfolds when you're in a state of service.
Yes.
Like that. Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you both. Next up we have Walter. I can't see him here, but there's somebody who's dialed in on the phone, so I'm going to unmute that person and check if that's Walter. Hi, is that you, Walter?
No, it's not Walter. I think that's me.
Okay.
Catherine. So not Walter.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to, so the next person we have is Naomi. You're unmuted and ready to go, Naomi.
Hello. Hi, Emma. Hi, Steve.
Hi.
I think you've probably kind of covered my question, but I'll tell you anyway. I've just done a year's training as a 3 principles coach, and I finished about 3 months ago. So it was a great grounding, but there was no practice doing one-to-one sessions or anything. So what I've been doing is trying to organize for myself some coaching, but where I'm coaching someone else. And my question was really about finding my first paying client. And I'm kind of stuck in a place where I have ideas, and I have people who are happy for me to coach them for practice, but I'm not doing anything about it. I just feel that I've got a bit stuck. I have a lot of feeling about not about being unworthy of asking for a fee at any time in the near future, and I just wanted to sort of share that.
Okay, well, and I think it's very common. I don't think I've ever, over the last 20 years of working with coaches, ever met anyone who didn't go through part of their professional practice building learning curve of being in that little unworthy stage. And the way around that I found for myself and others is not to ask anybody for money. So I don't ask for money. What I do is talk to people. So let's say I'm talking to someone, and we put some time on the calendar, and we talk for an hour, and they start to see life differently, and maybe we'll put another session, and let's have a completion. So let's talk one more time. They know I'm a coach. They know that's what I do for a living. And at the end of the second time together, it is their option to ask me if I'd be willing to coach them. So at the end of my second hour, hypothetically, I'm saying now, I say, this has been a really wonderful experience talking to you. Are we complete? Is there anything that we've left out that you wished we had talked about? And they might say, no, I feel fairly complete. I feel wonderful. Can I ask you, what do you charge if I wanted to work with you? So I want them to ask me. I'm not going to ask them for money. I don't ask people for money. I give them information just in the same sense of that I would give my phone number with the same neutrality. It's me passing information along. So for you to work with me, for when people work with me, they pre-purchase 6 sessions and it costs $2,000, and that's how people work with me. And that's information I'm giving because you asked for that information. I'm not asking you for money. I'm answering your question. So I'm not asking you for $2,000. I'm telling you what people pay me when they work with me. Now, your choice is whether you would like to do that or not, and you'll tell me. And you'll tell me not based on whether I'm worthy, whether I'm worth $2,000. You'll tell me whether it's worth it to you based on your experience, what occurred inside you during our talks to continue that process. It's not whether I'm worth it as a practitioner. That's not what I want this to be about. I want this to be about the experience itself, the experience that our conversation has opened up in you. So with some people, the experience I've had with them over a period of time talking has been profound, and they loved it and they want to continue. So they ask me, what would it take for me to work with you? And I give them the information. But they're asking me. I'm not asking them for money. So I'm giving them the information in the same sense that they might ask me, well, what's your website? What's your email address? If I'm sending you a package, what's your mailing address, your postal address, so I can send it? So I just give that information. And so when I give my phone number, I don't hyperventilate when I reach number 6 or something. I don't get weak in the knees. I don't hesitate to give it out. It's just a number. When I give, here's what it takes to work with me. Here's the fee, and this is what the preliminary package looks like. I don't hesitate because it's just information. It's not a judgment of my worthiness. That's all. Those are all thoughts that I don't have to believe at all. And when I tell you how people work with me, your decision. It's up to you whether you want to do this work for yourself, and whether it's worth it to you to do it. It's not a moratorium or a judgment on whether I'm worth it as a coach. That's only true if I believe that line of thought. Mm. And some people, when I talk to them, they really want to continue that because a lot has changed for how they see life now, and they want to continue that. Some people, when I talk to them, they're not enough has shifted for them. Perhaps no insights or whatever. They've just been it's just been two egos having it out, and so they choose not to work with me. And I don't take that personally. I might reflect on how I might have been more effective as a coach, but I don't take it personally. It's not a judgment on my value. So that's a long-winded way of whenever I hear a coach say I'm uncomfortable asking for money and I worry about my worthiness, I wouldn't. When I learned not to ask for money anymore, but to simply deliver the experience, just have the whole thing be very experiential throughout the day, and less of, I don't want to have a day of failed sales calls. That's not why I went into this work. That's not fun at all. And I want to have a day of helping people. And some of those people I've helped during the day want further help, and they enjoy the help so much they want to keep that going and see where it might lead, and they're willing to invest in their own evolution, and that's their choice.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Yeah.
Did any of that make any sense?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have an image of like you scan the barcode on a book, and it tells you the information about the book, and one of the things is the price, and you either pay it or you don't pay it. The
That's
book is saying, "Give me the money." It's
right.
the same, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like the title or the author, and there's the price.
that's it exactly. That's all it is,
Mm.
unless we add a story to that.
Mm.
And if we add the story of my worthiness is at stake, this means they're not asking to work with me, and that means so that doesn't mean anything.
No, it just means that they're not asking to work with you.
That's all it means.
Mm.
And that's all it can mean, and especially if I can see the role of thought in the process, and how I'm habitually imagining judgment of me all the time, coming from everywhere in my imagination, that I don't have to do.
Mm. Thank you.
You're welcome. Was there anything else?
Was there anything else? I suppose what that leads to is if I'm then going to say this is my price, this is the price on my label, I have to think about, how do I decide on the price on my label?
Yeah, and that's very important, is be ready. So one of the mistakes coaches make early in a career is they're not really ready. When someone wants to work with them, they're not really ready with exactly how that works. And so they often say, well, let me think about it and I'll send you a proposal or something like that. And then the moment of greatest enthusiasm and insight for how this work would help that person, that moment tends to fade. And now if you come back a week later or 2 days later, it's hard to relight that flame, that feeling that person had. And we call it, in the school I do, we call it the half-life of enthusiasm. And when a person is in a really really expanded consciousness and a really great mood and seeing a lot for themselves, to create the coaching agreement in that moment is a very good thing to do, because you're honoring the best part of them. And to wait until later, when they might not be in the same mood, they might not be seeing the same things, and then try to come back later and re-engage, it's difficult for both people. And the way around that is to always to decide before you even talk to somebody, if they want to work with me, here's what I'm going to offer. And if you're just starting out, I found it really helped to make it really easy for people to work with me, and have a very simple first offering that I give people. So you work with me, we do 4 sessions. This is the fee. And at the end of that time, if we want to work further, we talk about it. And I do have a 6-month program. I have a 1-year program, but that I don't want to do that yet. Let's find out if this is something that really works for you. So then I tell them exactly what's available to them, and they can say yes or no. Keep it very simple and make it really easy for people to work with you at the beginning, because it'll grow after that. So if you're afraid that your fee is too low, your fee will after a while, if you have too many people taking your time because your fee is so low, that will change. That you'll simply notice that your fee is changing. You don't have to overthink that either. A lot of people think, I need to really, I've learned a lot about not overthinking, except for my profession. That's where I really need to overthink this, and I need to decide the perfect fee. I need to decide this, and I just say keep it really simple for people at the start. It'll grow on its own. The fee will rise on its own to take care of your time management issue around having too low a fee. It'll just grow.
Thank you. That's great.
All right, you're welcome.
Thanks, guys. Next up, and apologies because I'm probably going to pronounce this name incorrectly, it's Yayati?
Yes, Yayati.
Hey. Is that anywhere close to the right pronunciation?
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Oh, brilliant. Over to you guys then.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
So I had two questions. Like before the session, I had one thing in mind, that how to slow down, so that, because I've heard you and I'm currently working with Ankush. So when he focuses on the fact that you need to slow down. So can you coach me around how to actually slow down? How does that work?
Well, so let's pretend you're in a play and I'm your director. And in this scene, you walk on to the middle of the room real fast. And I say, well, let's do this again. We're in rehearsal, but this time slow down. So let's say you're doing the dishes and you're scrubbing and trying to get it finished because you want to get somewhere else, and you're trying to get into your own future ahead of time. And you whisper to yourself, slow down. And now you're washing the dish slowly, lovingly. Now, any child can slow down. They know what it means. So I don't want to sound like a Zen master, but maybe I do. Maybe I will sound brilliant if I sound like a Zen master. But slowing down is really, it really happens by slowing down. It really is, in many little ways you can do it, including just simply connecting with your breath and dropping out of whatever hamster wheel thinking has got me rushing around and trying to get into my own better future. Like the future must be better. I better get there as fast as I can. And that's the thought process that has people miss opportunities. And Ankush is a wonderful coach, and he's very, very good at the whole slowing down process. He's experienced it himself, and he sees the value. It's counterintuitive in our world to think that if I slowed down, I would be more productive. That doesn't sound right. It seems like I will get more done if I speed up and if I go faster. But if you'll allow yourself to experiment with it, you'll find that that's not really true. A lot. So in the context of coaching, a lot of coaches have very good prospects that they don't even realize they have in their world because they're moving so fast. And somebody will email them and say, my coach used to do this with me. He would say, bring me your last 20 or 30 emails because you think you don't know who to coach or you don't know how to get a client, but you're going too fast. You don't see your, so I would bring him all these different people who emailed me, the last 30 people. And he would say, read me the email. And I would read him the first one, and it would be somebody who reproduces my CDs. And they say, I'm sorry, Mr. Chandler, we're going to be a day late with delivery. We have some problems here. And I read it to my coach, and he says, okay, so there's a little business. They make CDs, and they have problems. You are a coach, and you work with people with problems. So did you offer him some of your time to help him look at the source of those problems? And I said, no. I just got upset that he was going to be a day late, and then I raced even faster into my own future. And so he would show me that the slowing down process has practical value.
Right.
There are people reaching out to me all the time, and I don't hear it and I don't see it because I'm moving into my own future. I'm thinking ahead. And that's the value of slowing down, is the opportunities that live in the present moment are greater than we realize. So how do you slow down? You slow down.
Right.
Does that sound like I'm not answering you?
No, it does. You did answer my question.
Okay.
There's no technique, so I'll have to do it. That's it. Right.
You don't have to do it, but it highly recommended that you experiment with it.
Yes. And there's this situation. So I got an email from a lady whom I coached 2 months back. And that was before I started working with Ankush. And I again made the mistake that has been mentioned in the Prosperous Coach of not being too greedy. So I was too greedy in the initial conversation. So after the first call, she asked me that how much do you charge? So I, told a huge amount, and she said, no, that's not in my budget. Now she has emailed me back telling that she would like to work with me. So then how do I go about it? Since I have already told a huge figure, and then she said no, and again she's reached back. So I don't know what to do about it right now.
Well, there's no specific script or technique. I will give you one of 1,000 options, but the only reason I would give you an option is to illustrate that that we have, one of the beauties of this profession is that it's not very highly regulated, which is good, and there's a great deal of creativity in it for us. So let's say someone says your fee is way too big and there's no way I can afford it. And I might say, well, tell me, is that the only thing stopping us from working together, is your inability to pay the fee? And if I really want to work with her and she says, yes, that's the only thing, and I say, let me ask you a question. If I were to give you an alternative way of paying me that would be easier for you, would that allow us to work together if I were? And if she says absolutely yes, and I might say, well, instead of working with you 3 times a month for this, I'll work with you once a month. I will do this and I will do that, and your fee will be this. Tell me if that would work for you. So if you want to, you don't have to, but you can be compassionately creative and flexible in the conversation and not be so rigid if you want to work with her. Now, there are many, many clients who started with me at a very low fee. And as we worked together, we would then sit down and create something bigger. Let's do a full year. Let's do an apprenticeship. And it would be a much higher fee. But it came after they had the experience of working with me.
Right.
So you can go back to her and say, let's create a way for us to experience some work together. How about if we only do it for 2 months and you pay this? Or how about if we do that? Tell me if that would work for you. So create something for her that doesn't discount your time radically. It's not about that. It's about finding a way that would be easier for her to work with you, especially if this is someone you really want to work with. Because once you work with someone for a while and they get a very good feeling out of working with you, they will find ways to continue working with you. You don't have to worry that you've missed out on a lot of money by giving her an easier way in.
Right.
Is that useful?
Yes, it is.
And I wouldn't worry about saving face or what does it look like or how will I look if I come back with a different weight. It took me a long time to drop all of that and have the relationship be from my heart to her heart. My heart to the heart of the client. I want to help you. You're asking for help. Let's figure out a way to make this work. And that's if you want to do that. You don't have to do that. There are many coaches who do very well with, if you cannot afford my fee, I understand, and I will wait until someday you can. And that's fine too.
Right. So the only thing which I need to do is get on the call with her and figure out a creative way in which we can work together. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, very compassionate thing to do. And obviously, if she's reaching out to you again, she really wants to work with you. So give her a way to do that works for her.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Over to you, Emma.
Over to Emma. Emma, you are muted again.
Thank you. Right. Next up is Catherine, if she's still on the phone. So I'll just unmute her now. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Emma. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Catherine.
Really great call. Appreciated it. The questions that I had in mind around coaching have really been wonderfully answered. I'm a person who works in the mental health field as a social service worker, and for years have been thinking about moving into a coaching practice before I even knew what coaching was about and before I discovered the 3 principles of understanding. People used to come to me, so I would find myself coaching as a yoga teacher and in other capacities. And so it seemed like a really natural transition. When I discovered this understanding, it was interesting because I thought, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. This is the message or what I'd love to share with the world. And yet it seemed this natural. I put a bunch of stuff in my way in terms of turning it into something that I could make a living with. And just sitting in it and getting grounded, I'm starting to notice that what used to come naturally, I created some barriers and thought, anyway, those barriers are dissolving as I just get more grounded and trust that as my understanding grows, I'll continue to have conversations with people as I have throughout my life, and that the business side of things, I see myself as a really non-entrepreneurial and non-business type person. And so I have a fair amount of insecure thinking around going into creating my own business. So I think what I've discovered is just the mentoring that I may need, the help that I may need to develop those skills I'm trusting will come as I avail myself of the people who are making themselves available to me, and as I get grounded. So thanks for the call. I don't have any other questions. I just wanted to say thank you, and I've already learned a lot just listening to your conversation with other people. So thank you.
Do you mind if I say something?
Yes, please.
Okay. Does the dog mind if I? Sounds like the dog is objecting.
I think the dog's excited. No, sorry about that.
One of the things that really helped me was to take a second look at any thoughts I had about what type of person I was.
Yeah.
So I'm not a very entrepreneurial type of person. I'm not really a business type of person because I've never. So no, it's almost like so. Let's say my wife Kathy asks me to shovel the snow in our driveway, and I explained to her I'm not a shoveling kind of person. I'm not. That's just not the type of person. I've just never been a shoveler. Actually, it's not in my personality profile to shovel, and I can certainly give it a try at some point. But you have to know that about me, because I'm not a shoveler. And this is just me being honest with who I am and what my permanent traits and characteristics are. Now, I found that thinking I'm not a shoveler is a passing thought. It's simply a passing thought, a fleeting belief about myself that helps me explain to myself maybe why I haven't warmed up to this whole entrepreneurial business side of coaching, and that maybe it'll just kind of come to me out of the blue. But I've never found anybody who was born, where they could tell you in the hospital room that you were a business person when you were born. This baby is a business baby. I've never seen that quality where it wasn't kind of developed and brought along. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
So allow yourself the learning curve of that versus this goes against who I am. That thought. So, allow yourself a learning curve in that everyone else has passed through. And I liked what you said about allowing yourself to be mentored in that category, because there are people in the 3P community like Jean, Catherine, and Ankush, and Dickon, and people who are very good at mentoring people on the business side of things. That was mine.
Yeah, that's great, and I see how I see in that how I'm seeing myself and how that can shift and change if I allow it to. So thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I feel much more hopeful around allowing that part of myself to develop. So yeah,
Absolutely.
That's great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. You can be great at that. There's nothing in you that would have you not be great at that.
That's exciting too.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Just being open to you saying that, and some part of me feels the truth in it, that I'm not limited by the story I've had about myself in the past. So thanks. Yeah, that's great.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Catherine. Brilliant. This has been wonderful. We're just about coming up to time. We've got a couple of minutes. Just if anybody's got, a quick question or a comment or anything, feel free to just unmute yourself or raise a hand. Otherwise, Steve, unless you've got anything else, it's probably a good time to wrap up.
No, I really enjoy the questions. I love the honesty and the openness of the group. willingness to ask questions. It's really great. That's really says a lot about how fast people will evolve into being at a professional level and doing very well in the field of coaching.
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I wanted to say thanks to you for your time and to everybody for joining, but especially people who are willing to kind of talk about what they're up against, because it's universal and everybody listening will have learned so much from you sharing, you know, where you're at. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
What's the best way for people to get hold of you if they'd like to, or is there anything at all you'd like to share about what you're up to at the minute?
No, I don't recommend people get hold of me. Could be unpleasant. I've gained some weight lately. I think that I have a website, stevechandler.com, and they usually keep up with what I'm up to on the website. And so that's it, stevechandler.com.
Cool.
Thank you.